Hello again. I am continuing from where I left. I was just talking about mobile apps. That there are some advantages to it too. Web apps are nice, but you may want a mobile app. And let's start with let's see what this is. You guys been waiting in those iPhone lines? I I haven't definitely. You'll probably see soon. Um, I just stole this presentation from another person, and this is his name. And if you click on this, you'll go to his original presentation. And this is from not so long ago, but it's not that new either. Um, so the i the Mac or the Apple phones and the devices comes in many different sizes. There are a bunch of different versions, but they're very popular. They're good products. Um, just went back. Um, so if you're a Apple fanboy, which I'm not, but the person who made this is a fanboy. So the way he sees the history is everything before and after iPhones. And iPhones were presented in 2007, and before iPhone he puts this ugly picture of some, I think this is a Motorola satellite phone or something, or I don't know what it is. But definitely there were phones before iPhone. There was BlackBerry, and there was Nokia phones. There were some Sony smartphones. There were some simple phones available before iPhone. But anyway, since 2007, iPhone and the iPad became really classics, and they have many followers, and they're good products. I'm losing some part of my slide here. Supposed to say iOS in here. Why am I losing my slide? I'm not sure. Okay, whatever. Um, so these are iOS devices. So when you hear the word iOS, is the iPhone operating system, I think. This is the official website developerapple.ios for iOS. Um, so as of 2011, there were 200 million iOS devices shipped. This include iPads and everything. Um, at that time, there were 300,000 apps. That means 400 apps a day. 80,000 different publishers. So publishers are the persons who are creating these apps, and 10 billion downloads. And there's a link down there. You have these slides online. You don't have to look at the videos. You have better quality versions on the class website. Um, so you can verify these numbers if you'd like to and get more information. But the bottom line is that it's a very popular platform. So you may want to work for it. So let me stop there, go back for a second. So the required stuff for iOS development. I'm coming to that. So the next slide is the requirements. Okay, so you must have a Mac computer, either a laptop or a desktop. You must have it. Otherwise, you cannot do iOS development. At least I don't know I don't know of an easy way of doing that. We struggled with this last semester with my some of my students who were doing a project. One of them is in the class. I hope he's watching it right now. In addition to a Mac computer, you will need the SDK, iOS SDK. This is probably obsolete right now. It's newer versions. So iOS SDK can be downloaded if you have a Mac computer, and Xcode is also, I think, freely available. I'm not sure, maybe you have to pay for it a little bit. But anyway, if once you have a Mac, you can download these and you can start doing your development. There will be a device emulator that you can run your code and see the output. Finally, so that's not it. So you can use these things to develop the code and emulate it on a device, on some virtual device. But if you wanna deploy that, meaning taking that program and put it on a real device, you have to go through this. What is this? This is the website for iOS development, Developer Center. And basically, you'll have to log in. You have to create an account in here and get some licenses. So if I go to the next slide, actually you can see it better here. So this is before you logged in. It's iOS developer program. So it's the fastest path from code to customer, but it costs $99 a year. So you need to pay money to get into this. So before you can put an iOS program on a device, you'll have to be part of this program. So I'm taking a break here and asking if you have noticed something. There's a trend here, right? I'm hampering on it, so it's probably quite obvious that iOS development costs a lot of money, right? You have to purchase this developer license at $99 per year. You have to own a Mac computer because this Xcode will only run on a Mac. And you also have to own this mobile device because you have to get a license for development for that device to be able to deploy it on it. And you will also need to get a license to put it on the market, which is a separate step. But let's keep going on the slideshow for now. So you have your development environment set up and you're ready to code the iOS app. What you have to use is a language called ObjectiveC. I don't know if you heard of this language before. So what happens if you take the language C and you add object-oriented programming to it? What do you get? I'm sure many of you will say C++, right? But C++ is not the only object-oriented C language. Actually, ObjectiveC is a version of the C language which has object-oriented support. But it's not C and it's not C++. It's totally different language. But it's similar. Of course, it's similar to C. I don't have an example here. You will have to look it up. But I'm showing you something else which should be very familiar to you, the model view controller approach. So we praise it a lot and people like it, and that's why the iOS programming framework is based on the model view controller. And these are the main components. So you start with an application. It's a UI application. UI meaning user interface. And there's a delegate, and that delegate controls a window, and that window can actually show several different views. And there are two different view controllers. So these are your controllers. These are your views. And the model is probably somewhere in here, right? And maybe behind in here. It doesn't show in this picture. So that's the depth I'm going today. You'll have to go yourself and learn more about these things. But we can start some more discussion in the class, and if you really want me to go deeper into these things, we can always spend more lectures on these things. So I'm basically waiting to hear back from you if you're interested in these things. The memory management system in iOS is a little bit different. It works by reference counting. So when you allocate something and you start using that object from multiple places, like you make copies of an object, it will count those copies. Sorry about that. Let's see. Okay. And once you delete some of those references, it will keep reducing that count. And if there's zero variables referencing to an object, then it will release that memory. So it doesn't have a garbage collector support, but there's an auto release pool system for memory. And what else comes with iOS? There are many nice things. There's this interface system called Cocoa. It comes with these nice widgets for you, like the search bar, the little buttons, stars, nice color scheme. It's called Cocoa Touch. Open graphics, nice graphics. There's some graphics processing components like the GL. OpenGL is a hardware accelerated graphics system. Audio and video support. You have video players. You have automatic codecs. You can record audio and video and display them. There's this data model behind. There's a database system. You can here you're seeing a database table scheme, right? Yeah, these are different tables, and the tables connect to each other, like theater, who watches here, blah blah blah. There's networking support, lots of different types of connectivity. Phone-to-phone connectivity. This is the internet. I don't know what this is. um, GPS, so it's called core location and map kit. So you can actually show these maps very easily. You just call one function, it will show a map like this, and you can, for example, put these dots on it and stuff. It's basically like Google Maps. Good multitasking system. You can run multiple things at the same time. You can connect a old Mac style monitor if you want, if you called it an external display. Um, Printing support, push and local notification. Now, maybe you heard of push notification before. Um, Push is opposite of pull, and pull is what we do when we're browsing the web. We're requesting websites, and there's a response coming. So we're pulling some information. Push is when something happens when we're not expecting it. Like we don't ask, but it's giving it to us. The the best example is a pop-up. It's something very annoying, right? It just comes in front of you. But that's basically what push is, which means something happens somewhere else and it's sending you a message. And sometimes you want to see that, like if there's like an ice storm coming up and you want to see that on your phone, right? You get a message, text message, or some other pop-up. So that's really important for apps, mobile apps, because it lets you send messages to your customers. Of course, customers wants this. You don't want to send them spam. Um, so we know that you can run games on iOS devices, but that's not the point of this slide. The Game Center is a system where it lets you you can make games on the system, on this Game Center, so that you can publish high scores and you can make multiple people play the same game, and you can run the game on different devices and they will connect to the share the same information. So it's basically a gaming platform. It makes it easier for you to write games. Um, Advertisements, so it allows you to put advertisements into your apps. Allows in-app purchases, so you can get cash from your application. So these are really big advantages of the iOS market, or they call it something else actually, but I forgot anyway. So as a summary, iOS development, there are lots of good things. We just went through lots of good things. But iOS development has a lot of red tape. I want to remind you that. You need this developer license, market license, deployment license. However, at Emory, we figured out that there is Emory has a special agreement with Apple, so we can get free developer licenses. But in order to get that, you need to use either you have your own Mac or you use the library computers. You register with Emory's IT department, and they'll give you a license, and you'll have to install that license on your computer, on this library computer. And if you're using a library computer, you'll have to install it every time you use a library computer, because every time you log out, it's going to erase what you have in there. So it's really terrible system. But still, you can do it, and there's a lot of reward in the end. If you get a nice app, iOS market is really unique market. However, iOS has been battling with Android. I don't know if you guys recognize these. I'm sure you must be recognizing these icons. I'll give another break in here.